Hi, bookworms. Welcome to today's reading lesson. This is number 32. I can't believe it. So, today I want to talk to you about something that I've said many times before, but I've never really explained why it was important, and that's rereading. Sometimes I meet kids who are they're big readers, they love books, but they have some bad habits. And one bad habit that people have is they read a book once and they think they're done with it. And a lot of times I'll say to a student, okay, this is your book. I want you to read this. And they'll go ahead and read it. And 5 minutes later, they'll say they're done and that's it. But that's not how it works. Today we're going to talk about rereading and why it's so important. So before we choose a book to look at as an example, I want to tell you a quick story about when I moved to an apartment in Japan. And I had to go through a lot of doors just to get to my apartment. I had to go through a front door downstairs, and then I had to go to an elevator, and then I had to go to my apartment door. And I was carrying heavy boxes. And it took a while for me to put everything down, unlock the doors, and go up to the next level. But once I did it, it became easier to go back and forth. So, reading a book is kind of like that. The first time you read it, it's a bit of a struggle to get through. You don't catch all of the information, and sometimes you're just trying to figure out the words, and you don't really get all of the meaning. So, let's take a look at this book. You know I love space, and we've talked about Gail Gibbons quite a bit, right? She writes a lot of nonfiction books for young readers, and she did Knights in Shining Armor and Hurricanes and more. So let's take a look at a different page in this book. Now, imagine this is my first time reading it, and I think it is your first time. Follow along with me as I read it, and I'm going to read it to you the way somebody might read it the first time. In very early times, people knew of 6 planets. They were Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Later, 3 more were discovered. Okay, discovered. They were called Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Today there are 8 planets in our solar system. In 2006, Pluto was designated designated a dwarf planet. Okay, so boys and girls, if you followed along, you saw that I kind of had to stop here. This was like the time I had to stop and put down the heavy box to unlock the door. So yeah, I was a little stuck on this word. It's a little long. And then I had a problem here because I needed to read how it was pronounced. And then in the last line, I had to stop for this word, designated. Pluto was designated a dwarf planet. So it's telling me that there were 6 planets and then 3 more were discovered. So that's 9. But then it says there were 8. Pluto was designated. So I wonder if designated means like it was changed or it was given a new name. Okay. Well, I read this paragraph and I had to stop 3 times because words were long or I needed to unlock them. Now, here's the bad habit that people have. They'll say, okay, Mr. P, I finished this page. Well, it is true that we read every word on the page or every word in the paragraph, but we didn't really read it. We got through the words, but we didn't think about what everything meant. We didn't get all of the information. We need to go back and reread it and make it smoother. And you'll see when you play a musical instrument or when you're trying to do a trick on a skateboard or on a bicycle, just because you did it once doesn't mean you did it well. And we don't want to just read something one time. We want to read something well. And to do that, we have to go through it more than once. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of this paragraph and read it again. In very early times, people knew of 6 planets. They were Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Later, 3 more were discovered. They were called Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Today, there are 8 planets in our solar system. In 2006, Pluto was designated a dwarf planet. See how much smoother it was the second time? And I'll bet if you read this again, you would do it more smoothly. And it's very important to practice reading and reading out loud. Read to mom or dad or your grandparents. Read to your dog or cat. You've got to use your voice too to make sure everything is coming out smoothly. If you're reading in a very choppy way, you're not ready to move on. Okay, so it's really important to reread. And here's the other thing. When you reread something, you kind of become an expert in it. If you read this a couple of times, you'll be able to tell your friends, oh, yeah, there used to be 6 planets. And then they discovered 3 more. But now that one of those 3, Pluto, that was designated, it was changed to a dwarf planet. See what you can do? You can start to reread like an expert. And if you do that, you'll be able to speak like an expert. So remember all of these strategies that we've been talking about, talking the talk and reading to learn the lingo. We want to learn the technical words. We talked about the keywords and using features and all of these other things, but I want us to remember this very important one here. Reread something like an expert. Okay, especially when you see long or difficult words or maybe some difficult ideas. Go back and read it again because I'm sure the second time you'll be able to read it more quickly, more smoothly, and you'll get more information off the page. So those of you who have nonfiction books and you say you've already finished them, go back and read them again. I guarantee you'll learn something more the second and even the third time around. All right, boys and girls, go crack open a book, start reading. Remember, we're doing 30 minutes a day. Some of you have told me you're up to 35 minutes a day. That's awesome. Remember, our goal for the year is 40. Okay, that should be the goal for the rest of your life. So good luck with your reading and have a great day. The end.